For the past 2 decades, a handful of tech giants in Silicon Valley have been in control of artificial intelligence. But here's the catch. While the West has been leading the charge, it's been at the expense of billions of people around the world. And here's the big question. Why should a few companies in the US dictate how AI works for the rest of us? Let's take a step back and talk about AI as we know it today. The AI systems that dominate the global landscape, whether in hiring, policing, healthcare, or entertainment, are largely built by companies in the West. Silicon Valley, in particular, has shaped the AI framework that governs the way we live our lives. But here's the problem. The assumptions baked into these systems don't always work for everyone. When you hear about AI systems that help businesses hire employees, the algorithms are supposed to be objective, right? Well, when Amazon rolled out its hiring tool, it turned out that the algorithm was biased and it preferred men over women. Why? Because it was trained on data that reflected past hiring patterns, which were, not surprisingly, gender biased. And guess what? It wasn't just a one-off incident. Across the board, AI models used in the West are being trained on flawed data, making them inherently biased. Take facial recognition, another AI system that's becoming ubiquitous in the West. It's used for everything from unlocking phones to surveillance in public spaces. Yet, these systems have been shown to be less accurate when identifying people of color, especially Black individuals. This isn't just an abstract problem. It has real-world consequences, including false arrests, privacy violations, and racial profiling. Yet, the companies behind these systems continue to dominate the global tech market. So, the question remains, why are countries around the world continuing to rely on these flawed systems that were built with Western assumptions and priorities? It's not just about biased algorithms or privacy issues. The deeper question is this. Why should a handful of Western companies dictate the rules for the rest of the world? It's a question that's being asked more and more in places like China, India, Brazil, and South Africa. These countries, with billions of people, are increasingly wondering why their data, their privacy, and their AI needs are governed by someone else's rules. And they're starting to push back. Here's why. Think about it. In countries like India and Brazil, access to technology is still a luxury for many people. There's a digital divide that leaves the poorest populations without access to the technology that could improve their lives. When AI systems are being designed in Silicon Valley, the default assumption is that everyone lives in a Western tech-centric world. But that's simply not true. In rural India, for example, millions of farmers don't have the access to basic technological infrastructure. They don't have AI systems designed for their local needs that go beyond what Silicon Valley sees as useful technology. They need AI that can help them predict weather patterns, monitor crops, or connect to real-time agricultural markets tools that could drastically improve their livelihoods. Yet the models that dominate the AI space today are being designed with the needs of the wealthy West in mind. So the question remains, why aren't developing nations creating their own AI systems, ones that are more relevant to their people's needs? Even in Africa, AI can transform entire sectors of agriculture, education, and healthcare, but only if it's designed for the local context. The Western world's AI systems might not be able to address issues like food security, poverty, and climate change in these regions. Yet, these are precisely the problems that developing nations are trying to tackle, and they need localized AI solutions. They need technology that works for them. Now think about this. BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are not sitting idle. They're stepping up and creating their own AI systems designed to serve their own people. Instead of depending on Silicon Valley, they're using local data, local contexts, and local expertise to build AI that actually addresses their specific challenges. And guess what? The world's largest emerging economies are already making major strides in AI, leaving the West scrambling to catch up. This isn't just a minor shift, it's a tectonic change in the global tech landscape. If these emerging economies, with billions of people, start to dominate the AI space, the West's influence on AI will be severely undermined. Think about it. Right now, the biggest tech companies in the West control the most powerful AI technologies. They set the standards, the rules, and the ethics behind the systems we use every day. But BRICS is showing the world that local control can work. It can build better solutions that are more inclusive and relevant to the needs of their populations. But the question is, will the West continue to fight for its dominance, or will it embrace the inevitable shift toward more diverse, decentralized technology? So, if BRICS succeeds, and if these countries really begin to build AI that works for their people, what happens next? The West is going to have to adapt. The world of AI can no longer be defined by a few companies in California. It can no longer be a system built on the values of the West alone. A new era of global AI is on the horizon, one where local needs and inclusive governance will lead the way. And that's the question. Will the West be ready for the world they created to be redefined? At the BRICS summit in Rio, 5 nations made a decision that could completely change the global AI landscape. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa have joined forces in a pact that challenges the West's dominance over AI. But here's the kicker. This move, though monumental, has flown almost entirely under the radar. Why? Now, think about how AI has been developed over the past few decades. The West, specifically the US and Europe, has not only been leading in innovation, but also in setting the global norms for AI. The systems we now rely on, whether for healthcare, criminal justice, or even simple things like getting ads on Facebook, are shaped by decisions made in places like California. These tech giants, without question, dominate the market, dictating the very standards of AI that affect us all. But there's a growing tension. As the world becomes more interconnected, nations are starting to push back. They're questioning why a handful of Western companies should have the power to define the future of AI for the rest of the world. Especially when these systems have shown to be biased, opaque, and built on an unsustainable model that prioritizes profit over people. Countries in the global South have been left behind, and that's a problem. That's where BRICS comes in. In a landmark agreement, these 5 countries are laying the groundwork for their own AI model. They're taking control, reclaiming their technological sovereignty. This isn't just a policy change, it's a tectonic shift in the global AI order. And while it's happening quietly, it's a move that could reshape the very way AI is used across the world. This isn't just about a new AI model, it's about redefining AI for the global majority. Here's the twist. BRICS isn't just developing AI for themselves. They've proposed a UN-led governance framework for AI. Instead of letting Western tech giants and national governments dictate how AI operates, BRICS wants a global platform for AI governance, one that prioritizes fairness, equality, and shared benefits. Could this be the dawn of a more democratic way of governing AI? One where every nation has a say in how technology evolves, not just the richest countries? So, what does all this mean for you? What does it mean for the billions of people who live in BRICS countries? It's easy to think of AI as just tech development algorithms, data, machines. But the truth is, AI shapes our lives in ways we can't always see. From what we buy online, to how we get hired, to the way governments track us. And for the first time, the global majority is starting to take control of how that future unfolds. Right now, the tech world is still dominated by Silicon Valley. And that means Western values, priorities, and biases have been baked into the AI systems we use. The systems that influence our lives, whether in the workplace, on social media, or even in law enforcement, are all built around assumptions made in the US or Europe. The problem is, these models don't fit the needs of countries in the global South, where different cultural, political, and economic realities come into play. Take India, for example. They have a massive population, over 1 billion people, yet the AI systems built in the West often don't work for the vast rural populations in the country. Their focus is on digital inclusion and how to make sure no one is left behind. But most Western AI models don't consider that. They focus on automation or convenience, leaving entire sectors of the population without access to the technology that could actually help them. For instance, agricultural AI could revolutionize farming in India. Farmers could use AI to predict the best planting seasons, monitor crops remotely, and access real-time market prices. But Western AI systems often don't account for the unique environmental conditions in rural India. So what BRICS is doing isn't just about building a better AI system for themselves. It's about tailoring AI to fit the diverse needs of their citizens. BRICS is aiming to build AI that works for their people, not Silicon Valley's elite. And this is where the game changes. Instead of relying on foreign tech, countries like Brazil, China, and South Africa are creating AI systems that are designed locally. Systems that speak the language, recognize local dialects, adapt to the needs of the population, and solve the problems these countries face on a day-to-day basis. This isn't just about technology. This is about creating a system that fits their world. And here's the kicker. BRICS nations aren't just creating any AI systems. They're building them with local data. Why is this important? Because data is at the heart of AI development. The more data you have, the smarter your AI becomes. But if all your data comes from Silicon Valley, the AI will always be built around Western models and assumptions. By creating AI that's built from their own data, BRICS countries can make sure that AI is truly representative of their needs. Think about healthcare in Africa. AI-powered diagnostics could revolutionize the medical field there, but only if the data is tailored to African populations. Diseases, healthcare access, and genetic profiles vary from region to region. For too long, Western AI models have ignored these differences. BRICS is solving that problem by using their own data to create AI that can tackle issues they know best, and this is just one example. But it's not just about data. The ethical implications of AI are crucial. Western companies like Google, Facebook, and Amazon argue that they are creating ethical AI systems. But these ethics are often based on one thing: profit. The West has its own version of ethics, shaped by individualism, privacy rights, and data ownership. But these ideals don't necessarily reflect the collective needs of other countries. And when the focus is on individual rights, it often leaves out larger, more systemic issues like public health, education, or community welfare. BRICS is proposing something different, a more holistic approach to AI ethics, one that prioritizes society's collective well-being. For example, in China, the government has already implemented AI-driven solutions for public welfare, such as predictive policing and health monitoring. While this model has its critics, it's a stark contrast to the West's approach, which prioritizes the individual over the community. The key takeaway? BRICS is rethinking AI from the ground up. It's not just about the technology itself, but how it fits into a broader vision of society. They're putting their own people first, and in doing so, they're not only challenging the West, they're changing the entire paradigm. If this movement takes hold, it will signal the end of one-size-fits-all technology and usher in a world where AI is truly designed for everyone. The West has been the undisputed leader in technology for decades, but that dominance is starting to slip. BRICS nations are taking charge in a way no one expected. Why should Silicon Valley care about this? Why should Europe worry? Because the days of AI dominance by the West might be numbered. The West has long assumed that its leadership in technology, especially AI, was unshakable. The likes of Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Microsoft have shaped the rules of the digital world. But that control has always been precarious. The problem? While the West was building these systems, it failed to account for the rest of the world. The algorithms it created often didn't work for everyone. They reflected Western cultural values, which didn't always align with the needs of countries with different social, political, or economic realities. Take the global AI race. The West created the first AI breakthroughs and built the platforms we use today. But countries like China and India weren't just sitting idly by. Over the last decade, we've seen these nations, especially China, close the technological gap. With heavy state-backed investments, these countries began producing their own tech, with a focus on AI models built around their own values, their own goals. China, for instance, has become the world leader in AI patents. India, with its rapidly growing tech sector, is leading in AI-driven healthcare solutions. Russia is focusing on using AI in cybersecurity. And countries like Brazil are harnessing AI to tackle everything from agriculture to environmental sustainability. These countries are building their own tech ecosystems, and they're doing it quickly. As the West focused on its own interests, other nations filled in the gaps, and now they're pushing back. Here's the reality. BRICS is not just some small group of emerging economies. They represent over 45% of the global population. And with their recent AI pact, they're starting to make moves that will impact global tech, economics, and geopolitics. If these countries succeed, the West could be sidelined. Imagine a world where AI governance is no longer set in Silicon Valley or Brussels, but in Rio de Janeiro, Moscow, or Beijing. What does that world look like? Don't be fooled by the quiet nature of this shift. The West has dominated, not just because of its technological edge, but because it has set the rules, the regulatory frameworks, the ethical guidelines, and the standards that govern how AI is used. But over the past few years, cracks have started to appear. Privacy issues, data breaches, biased algorithms, and a growing distrust in big tech have made people question the ethical foundations of Western AI. Europe has pushed back with stricter regulations like the GDPR, aiming to protect user privacy. The US has had its own struggles, with Facebook and Google facing antitrust cases and criticism for data misuse. And globally, there's been a backlash against surveillance technologies and social media platforms that profit from user data. Yet, despite all of this, the West has continued to be the primary setter of the rules. For the most part, when countries outside the West wanted to implement AI solutions, they were left with no choice but to rely on Western-made systems. But now, with BRICS countries pulling together and creating their own model, the West's monopoly on AI governance is in real jeopardy. The BRICS countries are no longer just adopting Western tech, they're creating their own. And the difference is massive. By pooling their resources, sharing data, and focusing on the needs of their own populations, BRICS is developing AI that truly serves them. From more efficient healthcare solutions in India to AI-powered agriculture in Brazil, they are building systems that address local challenges. In doing so, they're positioning themselves as the new leaders in ethical, localized AI development. This is where it gets really interesting. The BRICS nations are not just developing AI systems for their own benefit, they're also pushing for global governance. And they want the United Nations, not Silicon Valley, to take the lead on regulating AI. By making this request, BRICS isn't just challenging the West, they're demanding a seat at the table in shaping the future of global technology. Think about it. When was the last time a group of emerging economies pushed back this hard against the West's control of global tech? This is no small matter. If BRICS succeeds, they could shift the future of AI from a system of corporate profit to one that focuses on global equity, ensuring that AI works for everyone, not just the rich and powerful. The question, though, is whether the West will even acknowledge this shift. If BRICS succeeds in creating their own AI ecosystem, the West could find itself on the outside looking in. The global rules for technology could change. This might mean fewer opportunities for Western tech companies to monopolize global markets. It could lead to a future where regional coalitions, not just Western corporations, define the future of AI. Picture this. A world where AI is governed not by one set of rules, but by a diverse group of nations that each contribute to shaping the future of technology. A world where the global South Asia, Africa, Latin America has a say in how the future unfolds. The West is going to have to adapt. The question is, will it join the conversation, or will it try to fight a battle it's already losing? So, what now? What's next for the future of AI? The BRICS nations have made their move, and things are no longer business as usual. We've seen how the West has shaped AI for years, but now the balance of power is shifting. What if this new world order isn't just a dream for BRICS countries, it's a reality that's already happening? How will the West respond? The problem here is simple. AI is too important to be left to a few companies in one part of the world. Whether we're talking about healthcare, justice, or climate change, AI is already shaping the way we live and work. The decisions made by a few tech giants in Silicon Valley, decisions that are driven by profit, are affecting billions of people around the world. While the West debates the ethics of AI, some countries are already deploying these systems in ways that directly impact people's lives. China's use of AI for surveillance, India's use of AI in agriculture, Brazil's efforts to create AI-driven solutions for deforestation in the Amazon. These are real-world examples of AI in action. And these countries are doing it without waiting for approval from the West. Meanwhile, the West remains stuck in policy gridlock, arguing over things like who owns data, who regulates what, and what AI ethics should look like. It's important to discuss these issues, of course, but if BRICS continues on its current path, these conversations may become irrelevant. The shift we're witnessing isn't just about who controls AI, it's about who gets to shape the future of the world. BRICS countries are taking the reins, stepping up to say, we will decide what AI looks like for us. And their vision isn't just about competing with the West. It's about creating a fairer, more inclusive future. But what does this mean for the rest of us? The problem is that the West's monopoly on technology has often led to a world where the most powerful countries dictate terms for the rest of us. While Silicon Valley's tech giants have been busy expanding their empires, vast regions of the world have been left behind. In many developing countries, people don't have access to the same technologies that have powered growth in the West. Take healthcare, for example. In countries like India or Nigeria, AI could transform the healthcare system, improving diagnostics, predicting disease outbreaks, and providing much-needed medical resources in rural areas. But they need AI systems that actually understand their local context, something that Western AI models have often overlooked. Even in Africa, AI could revolutionize agriculture, enabling farmers to use data to predict weather patterns, monitor crops, and improve their yield. But those countries need localized AI models, ones that are not simply designed for American or European conditions. The gap between what BRICS is building and what the West is offering could be the difference between progress and stagnation for millions of people around the globe. Imagine a world where AI isn't just a tool for the wealthy, but a universal asset that every country can use. Imagine AI systems built to serve the collective good, not just the profit margins of a few tech giants. BRICS is showing the way forward, creating systems that are more inclusive, more diverse, and more responsive to local needs. This could be the blueprint for the future of AI, a model that prioritizes the common good over corporate interests. So, what does the future look like if BRICS succeeds? A future where AI is governed by global consensus, not just Silicon Valley? A world where tech is more democratic, with input from all regions, not just the West? It's not an easy path, but it's one that could lead to a fairer, more just global technological order. The West has dominated for so long that it can't even imagine a world where its tech companies don't hold the keys to the digital future. But if these shifts continue, the West may be forced to rethink its position. The balance of power is changing. And if the West wants to stay relevant, it will have to adapt because the rest of the world is moving forward. So, what do you think? Is this the future of AI? A more inclusive and global approach? Or will the West hold on to its power and dictate the rules for the rest of the world? What role do you think your country should play in shaping the future of technology? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions on this. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on how AI is changing the world. I'll see you next time. Subscribe, follow us for more, and stay informed.